So we're warming up, getting ready for the show, getting ready for timelines at timelinesofsuccess.com. You also can go to timelinesnetcast.com. And we're going to do things a little different today. We had the first double schedule. We got Dave Woodson in. So we're going to do the show for timelines in the podcast here, but we're going to start the first part. We're going to go right into your 3 life, success, and leadership principles. I don't know how it's going to work, but they're going to know who you are. We're going to be talking about real estate today, but before we get to know Dave, we're going to actually ask him about his life, success, and leadership principles. And always get in writing is your first, so you can explain to us that. So ready to go? We're trying something different. The idea is make a good, entertaining podcast. So smile. Here we go. Okay, we're recording, so I need just silence. Hey, Dave, welcome to the show. Coming in to us from Valparaiso. We're talking about Valparaiso, Indiana.
Actually, I'm sitting in Michigan City today.
In Michigan City. Is that your house?
That's my house. I live in Michigan City, but my office is out of Valparaiso.
Okay, so you got to cover.
Or Valpo for short.
Valpo. Very good. Where is that in Indiana? What part of Indiana?
Northwest Indiana, about 55 miles southeast.
Okay, you're
of Chicago.
close. So like not far from Chicago.
Yeah, we're a suburb of Chicago. The best way to look at it. That's how I look at it.
Very good.
Anyway.
Hey, we're doing something a little bit different today. We're going to talk. It's going to be about real estate. You're a real estate professional. You've been in the business for about 3 or 4 years, but we're going to go right into something different. We want to go right into what are your top 3 leadership success principles that you use in your business. And the first one you said is always get it in writing. What's that mean to you?
Always get it in writing. I mean, it was one of my biggest deals. We didn't ask for the refrigerator, and because I assumed we were going to get it because it was in the MLS. That way they said we'd get the refrigerator, and when it come right down to it, they took the fridge out of the house. So in my mind, if it's not in the contract, you don't get it. So it's always if you want it, make sure you ask for it, and make sure it's in writing so it's always there. And so when someone says, "Oh, don't worry about it," that's usually when they're going to screw you. And so I always make sure that it's in writing. Everything is in writing. It's always signed. If it's not signed, we don't have a deal.
I understand that in real estate, and I can think of some other applications to putting it in writing. For example, do you blog much?
Yes, I try to. I was an early blogger on it here in Northwest Indiana. I used to do Active Rain, then I had my own. Used to do Mad Mortgage Machine when I did mortgages, but I haven't blogged in a while. I know I need to. It's still a very needed tool in the realtor arsenal, and then there's not a lot of us doing it. I'm not doing it right now. I know I need.
There's
to
a couple things about blogging, and when you talk about putting it in writing, sometimes when you put your thoughts and ideas into writing, whether you're trying to figure out something or helping a client, I think it makes to help us to have a very clear vision, or at least to get our thoughts clear of what we want to do. And
Oh, exactly.
And I don't blog as much as I used to. I do a quick blog for timelines at timelinesofsuccess.com, but I do a quick blog every day, and I get to know people by looking at what they've written and filled out and then putting it in. But a blog to me for our business would be sitting down and really writing out what is the process that I use each day to do something. And you can even do a blog that's a sort of a private blog, not private, but private public blog as an agent that really is not out there for the agents. And you just blog, what do I need to do to be successful type thing. And then you could also blog about, what are the elements that you use to close an escrow or start an escrow or get your house sold. But it makes it clear, but it's hard to do, isn't it? Sometimes.
It is tough you don't find the time to, it's tough to find the time to sit down and write, come with good ideas to write. And like with me, I listen to podcasts in the car, and I always get a good idea. Then I'm like, I don't want to stop and write down the idea. So I try to remember it so that I get to the stoplight or stop sign to write it down. And a lot of times I forgot it. I just need to learn to either stop or make sure I keep on remembering it.
Isn't
at
it
that
amazing?
point,
You can get a great idea and can't remember it like an hour later. Everyone does that.
Oh, drives me insane.
That's another place.
Drives
You need
me
to write it down or
insane.
have a recorder, record it real fast. Hey, that is so true. That's so true. So going next, he said, look out for number one, but make sure you don't step into number two. And I can say we talked about it. Is that step into number two or step on number two?
Or step in. And we're in Indiana. We step in
Step in it.
And that came from Rodney Dangerfield, the back to school. And it says at the very end, and you got to look out for number one. You got to look out for yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. People say they are, but chances are once they feel your thoughts or your actions are going to counteract what they're thinking, they're not going to be helping you anymore. So so you always got to make sure you're looking out for number one, whether it's your real estate company, your real estate transactions. When I say look out for number one, that means that includes you and your clients. And no matter what the other agent says, they're not looking out for your client's best interests. You got to look out for you and your client's best interests. You got to look out for number one. And number one could be you, your team, your clients, your company, and just keep and make sure you're staying on top of mind the entire time. And don't step in number two. Just don't let looking out for number one get you into trouble.
Yeah, it does. It totally does. I like that stepping in it, though. There's a lot of ways that second half could be conjured up a lot of different ways. So number three, in the final one, you may lose me, but you'll never win without me. You may lose me.
You may lose with me.
You may lose with me,
but you'll never win without me. That's a Terry Bradshaw quote. I'm a big Terry Bradshaw fan. A Chicago Bears fan. I always liked Terry Bradshaw. He was a winner. And he's like, hey, simple. You may lose with me, but you'll never win without me. So if I'm not on the team, you're gonna lose. And if I'm on the team, chances are we're gonna win some, we're gonna lose some. But if I'm not on the team, you're always gonna lose. And that's how I feel about wherever I'm at. Is like I like the other quote is like if you throw me to the wolves, I'll come back leading the pack. And that's kind of how I feel with that quote. You may lose with me, but you'll never win without me. And I feel that with clients. If you want this house, you got to work with me, not against me. Do what I say. Well, take my advice. I've done this before. I've done it more times than your mom and dad have. Unless they've bought 100 houses, I've done it more times than your mom and dad has. Because I've had mom and dads come in. And what's your transaction? You should call the listing agent. Yeah, call the listing agent. Let's see if your daughter gets the best deal at that point. You work with.
Yeah, even doing a few transactions, you learn so much as a new agent. A new agent knows substantially more than 99.9% of everyone else in the world. They've just done a couple transactions.
And that's why I always laugh for some of my owners. They think they're saving money, but they're actually creating more work for themselves than anything else. The stuff they got to deal with the inspectors, the appraisers, the other lender. They can say the wrong thing to the lender and kill the deal. If the other lender's working with an agent, when I'm working with a first-time owner, I look forward to working with a first-time owner because I know when it comes right down to it, I'll negotiate them. I'm gonna get everything that I want because I know exactly what I can and can't say to them, and they don't know what they can and can't say to me.
Right.
And I don't know how many times I've had them say disclose something that they shouldn't have disclosed or should not be disclosed, and I'm like, well, that you just killed the deal whether you know it or not.
Right.
Because now I get to go back and tell my client that.
So anyway, we tried something a little different today. We're going to come back and talk more about you, why you're a real estate professional. You've been in 3 years, very successful, and what are other things that's probably made you successful. What decisions did you make that help you out to make you decide what you did, and why you like doing real estate, and do you want to continue to do it? We're going to talk about those things in the next section. So we're going to go to a break. So Dave, we tried something a little different. We did your top three, but you're a professional real estate agent. Tell me a little bit how you became a real estate agent, why you became a real estate agent, what your background is.
Well, it kind of goes back.
you just froze.
Okay.
So Dave, tell us.
Sorry.
Dave, just tell us the question. Go.
It really kind of goes back to when I first got out of college. I mean, I started working for a construction company that was 55 and over. I was the construction manager for them. Got downsized. I mean, getting downsized is a common theme in my life. So I went from there to, where did I go from there? PPG Industries, which is architectural finishes. If you ever, we all know who PPG is. If you ever been to the Lucite, Olympic Stains, Pittsburgh Paint, Pittsburgh Plate Glass, that's who they are. Got downsized again. Knocked around jobs, went to work for the local newspaper. Hated it. God, did I hate working for the local newspaper. I don't care if they ever find out that I hated it. Quit there to go work for another company selling chemicals, and I hated that job. Good God, did I hate that job. I'm good at sales, but I just didn't like. God, it felt like network marketing. It just gave me that dirty sheen kind of feel to me. And I picked up a book, Trust Sales or High Trust Selling, by Todd Duncan, which Todd's a great guy. I consider him I've met him a handful of times. I consider him a mentor to myself. I read his book. I've read all of his books at this point. He talked about the mortgage industry, and I noticed, hey, I've been watching the news lately. Everybody's talking about mortgage rates, so let's give that a shot. So I got in the mortgage industry in 2003. So later that year, I opened my own office in 2003. From 2003 to 2008, I had my own office. And, when everything was going to hell in a handbasket in 2008, I shut my office down, went to work for someone else until 2010. And that's when everything was going to hell in a handbasket. And I decided to get out of that. And because I was doing a lot of consulting and speaking, how to teach. I was teaching agents basically across the nation how to do what I was doing online, from video to SEO to blogging to social. And so I started getting into that. And I stayed to that until 2012. And I was like, no one here locally is hiring me. And I say locally was within my MLS. I said, so why don't I go do that? So in 2012, I was still consulting. I was still selling real estate. And I didn't sell anything in 2012. It was the last half of 2012 I got into it. I said in 2013, I said, if I'm going to make this a success, I got to dump consulting, which I wasn't making that much more money in consulting. I said I can make more money in selling real estate than I can in consulting, and I don't have to worry about have to always chase someone down to get paid. I said full-time real estate. So 2013, I went full-time real estate, and that's how I ended up. I like it because if I want to get downsized, I do it to myself. If I don't want to work today, I don't have to work today. But I work probably 40, 45 hours a week, 60 hours a week. It depends on the week. I know the time I put into it equals the money that I get out the back end. How smart I work and the time I put into it is the money that I get out the back end. And that's real estate. Everybody says I love watching getting people in houses. So do I. But I also know the work that I put into it equals the money that I get out the back end. And I know that almost sounds cold and calculating. So what at this point? I know the work that I put into it equals the success that I get out the back end. I enjoy marketing, and I get to market myself. I sell homes, and that's a huge plus when it comes to real estate. I get to market, I get to sell, and I tell people when I walk into a house, I said I'm probably more guilty of talking you out of a house than into a house. I'm gonna point out everything that I see wrong with this house because I'm 47 years old. I'm working with a lot of millennials. They're old enough that they could possibly be my kid, possibly. So I kind of want to protect them a little bit. I want to make sure they understand what they're getting into. And
hey Dave,
and that's the wrong way.
Pause.
Go ahead.
Hey, before we go back into, we're going to restart number 2. We had Zencastr on, and it looked like Dave's signal was a little weak when it was breaking up, and we turned off Zencastr, and I think that's improved the sound. So we're going to go ahead and re-record. Let's do the whole thing. We can go fast. Let me start over from the start. I'm going to start a normal show. I'm not going to do that other format. I'm going to talk about you first. Ready? Here we go.
Right.
Dave, welcome to Timelines. Today it's all about real estate because you're a real estate professional. You're that real estate professional entrepreneur, which I love. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, we had fun. You get the double start because I was playing around and testing stuff here. We're testing Zencaster, which we just talked about Zencaster yesterday. It may work really well standing alone by itself, but we had it hooked in with Blab on the backside, and we know that your signal might be a little weak today, so it was breaking up. So we're redoing the first part of this show. So what we want to know, we're going to go the traditional way. Let's know more about you. What do you do? What's your background? You're coming to us right now from Indiana, Valparaiso, Indiana, which is next to Michigan City, not far from Chicago. And that's a cold part of the world. Is it cold there today?
It should be in the low 30s today. It was 25 this morning when I got, but I still have shorts on, so that's all that matters to me. It's no pants Friday. I'm working out of the house. I'm working out of the house today.
No snow to shovel.
No snow to shovel, but none expected. Unlike Washington D.C., none expected yet. So, but
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, as a real estate professional, do you slow down in the wintertime?
No, I do a little bit, but not like everybody else. Because I do what I do. I do what I got to do to keep busy. I mean, I keep marketing through fall, through the winter months. I don't stop marketing. I mean, it's funny. I was on some groups, and agents were talking about getting a part-time job in the wintertime. I'm like, the part-time job you should have is your real estate marketing. You should the time you're going to be spending doing your part-time job, you should be marketing. And they didn't get that. They needed money. I'm like, well, I saved up my money so I can survive, but I don't think I'll need to survive because I was closing deals all the way through December, which most agents weren't doing. I've closed out my book of business, so January is going to be nothing. But I know come February and March, I'm going to be busy closing and running and gunning again right now. So I mean, does it slow down? Yeah, because there's less homes on the market, but I still have buyers looking, and I'm trying to get listings to list because hey, I need inventory to show people.
So you've been in for 3 years. How did you get to where you are? What did you do before you got into real estate?
I did mortgages. But I've always been down. I've been downsized from every job I ever had. I either got downsized or I quit. I mean, I guess there's only two choices you can do. Excuse me. The first job I had out of college, I got downsized. The second job I had out of college, I got downsized. The third and fourth job, I quit because I couldn't stand working for them. I'm too smart for the room at sometimes. I want to change how they do things for years. I don't want to do certain things. I'm a sales guy. And my theory on sales guys is if you're meeting your numbers every month, I don't care if you fry fish at your desk, just keep hitting your numbers. And they wanted me to keep doing certain things, go push certain products that were stupid. And I'm like, and the nail on the coffin for one of those companies, they didn't think I pushed a certain product, but I had met all my numbers. I had met everything they wanted me to do, but the one certain town didn't do what they think they should have done. So they sent someone else into my territory. And I'm like, Dad, you don't do that to me. And so I embarrassed them, and they didn't like that. So I ended up quitting within a week and got another job. But I got into mortgages. I had my own office for 5 years. Went to work for someone else, and I couldn't stand doing that anymore. Got into consulting and teaching other agents and speaking, and I still speak from time to time, not as much as I would like. I was teaching other agents how to do real estate, how to do video and social media, and how to blog, how to do SEO online. Obviously, it's online, but how to market themselves online. And I noticed no one here locally was doing what I was doing online. So I said, so why don't I start selling homes? I had my license since 2009. It had been a referral. Never sold a home until 2013. Jumped into it feet first in 2013, full time, and did $1.2 million the first year, $1.5 million the second year, and did 3.35 last year. So I doubled from 2014 to 2015. And my goal this year is to do 10 million. So I plan on tripling what I did last year.
Well, that's good. And the bottom line is the net too. How much you actually take home and live on. That's increasing.
So, and our actual goal, my wife is an actuary. Our goal is actually get her home, away from being an actuary, having to go to Chicago every day by the time my daughter starts high school.
So you got a daughter?
We have a daughter. She's 12 years old, which my wife would basically come work for me at that point. She would be the CEO, well, not like she isn't now, I guess, but she would be the CEO of my team. I am looking to hire a buyer's agent right now. I generate enough leads that I can't keep up with the leads I generate. So I'm looking to hire a buyer's agent that's good on the phone, that can call the leads back, that's not afraid to be on the phone, that can just bang away and let me do what I do best, and that's generate the leads, get listings, and you handle the buyers.
Episode 182 was Jeff Cohen. He's from
Hello,
Omaha,
Jeff.
Nebraska. You know him? How do you? We'll talk about that.
I've seen him. I've seen him online and stuff. I don't know him personally.
He runs a team and he's evolved, but his team, he netted. That's not gross, but he personally netted. That's what he said. Over about $1 million. His commission was 3 point something. It was whatever he netted over $1 million.
Wow.
So he runs it on team, but he doesn't. He believes that you have rainmakers, and those are the listing agents, and they need to be the focus, the pinnacle, the top person. And they go out and do nothing but build relationships, go in front of appointments, sign contracts. Then he has buyer's agents. So he makes sure everyone's organized, systemized, and they're doing the right thing. So I totally believe in that the one pony real estate agent, there's just so much to do. They can't keep their funnel filled. So they need some kind of lead generation, whether they're doing, have some kind of massive expense that they spend into Facebook, YouTube, whatever it might be, where they're getting leads. But if they ever stop their lead generation, stop doing those things, building those relationships, they just will trickle in a transaction. They'll never make a living.
Right. I agree 100%. I mean, the average agent is 57, female, and closes 6 deals a year, 5 to 6 deals a year. Can't strive on that. You cannot. Not Northwest Indiana. You can't. Not unless
the only one that makes great
$500,000 houses.
Yeah.
What?
That's the bread and butter. That's the bread and butter for a broker. We were broker. We had a brokerage for 20 years. The person who does 5 or 6 transactions because of splits, and they don't really have a lot of pressure. A lot of times the spouse is working, so they don't have to make the money. It's just extra money, and they enjoy the social life. So there's a place for those 5 or 6 agents, 5 or 6 transaction agents, and they do a pretty good job. But they'll never make the super money unless they get systemized and become a team. And when you get a team, sometimes you can really get expertise on that team that does the right thing, gets things done. But it's different strokes for different folks. My wife still likes that, carry them through the whole process. It slows her down. It limits her at about 12 transactions a year. But that's what she likes. I mean, she's very comfortable with that. She downsized when I was overseas. And maybe she'll get back into a different model. But some people like that. There's nothing wrong with a 5 or 6 transaction agent as long as they do it well and take care of their clients. On the other hand, though, if you want to make a living, you're going to have to do more than 5 or 6 transactions.
Well, I mean, I have no trouble with the agent that does 5 or 6 transactions as long as they're responsive on the phone or email or text. And if they're not, then we have an issue. Then that's when the fangs come out, the claws come out, and I am unkind. And because nothing bugs me more when I got to call you at your full-time job, so you have to do your part-time job. That just bugs me to no end. I
totally agree. No. I do not like people who have part-time jobs and part-time real estate jobs.
No, full-time jobs. Full-time jobs and part-time real estate jobs.
Yeah, that's a no-go. That's no-go in my book. But the person who does, who maybe is a mom or stay-at-home dad, it doesn't have to do, it doesn't have to make those 20 transactions a year. They take care of their clients maybe at 6, and maybe really there's a specialized area there. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I agree with you that you shouldn't be running a full-time job and doing real estate, because when you're in a transaction, it's a full-time business.
I agree. This is a full-time job for me. I mean, I'm working out of the house today, the second day of the week that I'm working out of the house. But it just today was one of those days I had to do this, and it just seemed to work better for me to be home out of the house than it was to be going anyplace else.
By the way, I'm pretty sure if you don't systemize, like I said, you can't do more than 6 transactions a year.
Yeah. So
maybe 8.
We're gonna find if I can do. We're gonna find if I can do 6 transactions in a month.
You're gonna need some help there. That's a lot of work. But
Yeah.
when you're busy and you're on that phone, you're working you're probably you'll be working 12, 16 hours a day.
Yeah, but
But
we just my broker and I, she and I just hired a girl that's gonna do our. She's gonna be a assistant light. She's gonna put our listings in for us. She's gonna do some of the legwork for us, and we're gonna pay her pretty well to do that. And so I'm looking forward to that. So when she's starting here next week, so that's not gonna be a problem. I mean, I don't. If someone said, Dave, put this listing into the MLS, I would look at it and go, how do I do that? Because I don't know how to do it. That's not my job. My job is to sell your friggin' house. My job isn't to do the paperwork.
so you don't put your own listings in the MLS?
Nope, not at all. I wouldn't even know how to. I know how to log on to MLS because I have to for crap. I could probably start to do it.
Yeah.
But if you wanted it done right, you better get someone else to do it.
We always ran
and I've got to put in four MLSs. Because when you list with me, it goes into 4 MLSs. It goes into Indianapolis, goes into South Bend, goes into Chicago, and goes into our local MLS. Why? Because nobody else is doing that. Because there's people from Chicago moving to Northwest Indiana. There's people from South Bend moving to Northwest Indiana. There's people from Indianapolis moving to Northwest Indiana. So we're in 4 different MLSs.
Yeah, that's huge. That's unusual. Very unusual to have 4 MLSs. That's a lot of work in itself.
And it's worth it. It pays off. I mean, I don't know how many. I mean, I get calls from Indianapolis all the time. We just took a listing in Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne is 90 miles away from here.
Wow, now that's hard. I have. How do you service a listing that's 90 miles away?
It's a foreclosure listing, so we all we have is lockbox on there, so it's kind of it's easy at this point.
Yeah, it's an empty house. It's foreclosure. That's a whole different game.
Yeah, if it was someone's house, it'd be a little different. But
so, what if I call you off the sign and I say I want to see the house? What do you do?
I would refer to a friend over there.
Yeah, very good. So you have someone over there watching it for you.
Yeah,
and give a percentage on the buyer's side. Give like a referral.
Yeah,
that's good. That's what you have to do. Very good. Hey, with that, we're going to go to a break.
And I'm in an enviable situation. I've spoken enough across the state of Indiana, or basically from here to Chicago to Cincinnati. I mean, and I could, if you need an agent in Columbus, Ohio, I can get you 2. If you need an agent out in Indianapolis, I can get you 10. Lafayette, 2. Fort Wayne, 5. South Bend, 3. In Northwest Indiana, you got me. Chicago, I can probably get you 20. It only take me a second. If usually when someone in our office needs an agent outside of the state, they call me, because chances are I'm friends with them on Facebook. So or someone near there that I trust.
Hey, we're going to come back after the break, talk about your 3 success and life principles, but then we're going to go into more detail about how you specialize on this online media and how you do so well. Does that sound good?
Sounds great to me.
Okay, Dave, we're back on part 2. And we want to talk about your 3 life success principles. Then we're going to go in and talk about what you do so uniquely online and why you're so good with the online environment. So your first principle is always get it in writing.
Always get it in writing. That's burned me once. It's burned me once. It's people have tried to burn me on it. If it's not in the contract, you're not going to get it. I've had to buy a refrigerator for a client because it wasn't in the contract. It was a lesson learned that I learned very early on. Whenever another agent says, "Oh, don't worry about it," usually means they're going to screw you somewhere down the road. And I just I want to make sure it's in writing and signed every time. Nothing. If it's not signed, if it's not in writing and it's not signed, it's a vapor. It doesn't mean a darn thing. And I would love to go back to the days of old where we can shake hands on it. And I would like to think my word is oak, or my handshake is key. And I would like to say that it is, but 9 times out of 10, no one else's is, and especially a real estate agent or a mortgage guy. If it's not in writing, it doesn't mean a darn thing.
Got to tell you a true story about in writing. I was building my second small subdivision we were building. We had a real estate company, and so I was building a subdivision. And there was one house. We were building a new subdivision, but it had an old fence and it back to an existing subdivision. It was on the corner. And went over to the guy and said, how would you like to split the cost of this fence? And we'll put up a new fence here. And we'll take down the old one. And what we'd normally do is we'd verify the property line and try to get some costs. And they said, I'm thinking about selling and listing this house, and I really need to paint it. And he said, I'll list it with you. And can you paint the house? And I'll pay you for that. It was a reasonable amount because I had a 2-person painting crew in-house. And it was all cracked with stucco, and it had cracks through it. And so I had to use a very expensive elastomeric paint on the house, and we fixed the cracks. And then the clown went and listed with someone else and never paid me.
Oh.
Unbelievable. I learned my lesson. It was supposed to list with one of our agents. I don't know what happened. But he told the agent, I got pissed off at him. So I didn't like him. So that's why I didn't list. And then I went after him. Then I talked to the listing agent, and I found the listing agent was his daughter. And she's a pretty prominent agent. I can't believe I got hoodwinked. Pretty prominent agent. I talked to her, said, I can put a lien on this house. You realize that, right? I can do up to $1,000 lien even without a contract. I should have liened the darn thing.
Should have.
But I didn't. Unbelievable. That's the biggest I've ever been taken by an individual in my life. I didn't get it in writing. So especially in construction or real estate, get it in writing. That I can still torques me off. I don't know why. I was so busy at the time building a subdivision. I should have gone after the guy just for principle. But it was stupid. Yeah, it was stupid. And then the paint cost twice as much too.
Oh, it always does.
That's life. That's life. So anyway, look out for number 1, but make sure you don't step in number 2. I understand that now. Don't step in number 2.
And that comes from Rodney Dangerfield back to school. I mean, you always look out for number 1. Make sure you're looking out. And number 1 could be you, your clients, your team, your brokerage. I think last week when we were on with Jonathan, I mean, I have a very protective stance when it comes to my brokerage because I think we are number 1, and I'm looking out for number 1. But if you leave our brokerage, I mean, I unfriend you on Facebook or I block you. I don't want you. You are now dead to me at this point. I don't want nothing to do with you unless I got to sell one of your houses or you're going to buy one of mine. And you really got to look out for number 1. You got to make sure what you're doing is in the best interest of you, 1, yourself, and 2, your client. And when the moment it's not, that's when you're going to step in number 2, and that's when you get your shoes all messy. I just got a new little puppy, and we got to watch where we walk in the yard every day now. So you really just got to watch out for yourself, watch out for your clients, watch out for your brokerage, because the moment you're not, you're going to step in it, and you're going to regret it every time. Whenever I've had a moment, whenever I've had a lapse of judgment, it's cost me money. I don't have lapses of judgment anymore.
Oh yeah. Hopefully you don't have too many more.
Well, yeah.
Everyone's going to. So what kind of puppy did you get? You got to follow up.
Shijan. It's a Shih Tzu Bichon Frise. They're also called teddy bear free. They're also called teddy bears. And she's a little. How long have you had the dog? About a month and a half now.
I bet your 12-year-old likes the dog.
That's who we got it for, because I wouldn't have got a Shijan. I'd have got a bulldog or a mastiff or something that I would have liked, but my daughter wanted a small little puppy, and that's what we got her.
We've got a lab. It's about 4 weeks old, so.
You're in the puppy phase for the next 2 years.
Labs are tough. Labs are wonderful dogs, but they're a lot of work. So driving on, you didn't step in number 2. You're done with that. So you may lose me, but you'll never win with. You may lose. I did this again. I don't know. My mind must go on. So let me start this again. You may lose with me, but you'll never win without me.
Yeah, I think I'm the best. I mean, honestly. And I look at it this way: if I'm not on your team, you're going to lose. And I just think you may lose with me. I mean, I'm not perfect, but if I'm not fighting for you, you're never going to win. And that's just kind of how I look at it. I mean, it's like the other saying: if you throw me to the wolves, I'll come back leading the pack. And that's kind of how I look at it. You got to have the winning mentality. You got to think. You always got to think a step ahead, and always be on your toes. That's how I kind of, especially in a real estate transaction. I mean, if I've noticed other agents try to make me comfortable. So they'll get me to slip up and say something I shouldn't say. But I know what to say and what not to say, and I know exactly what I can and can't say, and I'll get them to say something, and I know I'll have something in the transaction. I'll have the ace in the hole sometimes, and so if you may lose with me, but you'll never win without me. And if you want to
So,
go if you want to get that house, you better have me in your team.
so what are some of the common things that you do to write a contract to really take care of your client?
I mean, I've told Moker, when I walk through a house with a client, I'll when I first meet with them, I'll tell them right up front. I said, I'm probably more guilty of talking you out of a house than into a house, because I want you to be happy with that house. I want you to go in with eyes wide open. Make sure you see every little crack. Make sure we're seeing everything. The age of the furnace, the age of the roof. I mean, I'm no expert when it comes to furnaces or roofs, but you can look at them and say, hey, this needs work. I think this needs work. There's some issues here. There's some issues there. So I go in. I want to make sure they have the eyes wide open, and also tell them, like, hey, if you like the house, don't act like you love the house inside the house, because they may be recording you. And so I remind them of that. I said, get outside the house and talk about how much you love the house. Get inside the car and talk about how much you love the house. But don't do it inside the house, because you never know when they're recording. You never know when someone's watching. I know I've had one of my clients was with one of my agents, because I couldn't show them the house that day. They were being recorded, and they found they heard somebody got mixed up where they can hear the other people talking. And I'm like, they ended up not buying the house, but they were upset. I was like, well, in Indiana, you're allowed to do that because there's no expectation of privacy, especially when you're in someone else's house.
So they weren't. I've never heard of that before, but it makes sense. So a recording actually, like a alarm or something, goes on, like you can see it. That makes
Yeah,
sense. It goes on, the camera goes on, so people are in the house.
and that's kind of what happened. I know a couple agents. I won't say.
Wow,
I'm not going to say names. Have been going. Agents across the nation have been caught in nanny cams, not being a nanny, if you know what I mean. Other agents have been caught inside clients' homes
wow.
having fun by nanny
Uh,
cams. So
I've heard. I know. I remember. I knew that happened. I actually had. I can tell you stories about that. We're in real estate over in California for 20 some odd years. That's happened. That does
Oh
happen.
yeah, so it happens. It happens here, and so I was like, I remind them,
Yeah.
hey, there could be
Not
a
that I
nanny cam.
participated.
I said there could be a nanny cam here, and you got to watch out for that. I mean, that's I remind everybody that when we walk into a house, when we first meet, don't show the love for your house. Don't show the love for the house when you walk when you walk in, because you can completely destroy your bargaining chip. When I leave feedback, because we're not required to leave feedback, but we keep getting hold on a
That's a
second. I'm getting.
To me, that's a great idea to protect a house, a listing. I've never thought about that. You could almost buy kits. I've never heard of anybody doing that. You could buy a kit if they have Wi-Fi. If you have Wi-Fi, we can set up our cameras in here so we know when people come in and out of your house
Yeah,
and show you how to record it. That's
exactly.
crazy. That's just
So,
like this. That's crazy.
and then when I leave feedback, I mean, I always say, "Nice home, thanks for letting us in." I don't give any kind of constructive feedback because it's not my job to do your job.
So I wonder what the laws are state to state about that. I would assume inside your house, you're allowed to record anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know outside the house there is no expectation of privacy outside the house. So if I want to roll up and take a picture of your house, I get to take a picture
No.
of your house.
Oh, absolutely. You can on public property. You can take a picture from anything, anywhere, any place. Yeah, there's some laws on kids, but
Well, yeah, I'm not taking pictures of kids, and I'll do a video outside of someone's house, and people don't like it. I'm like, I'm not videotaping your house. I'm not videotaping you. I am
videotaping
now
the
because
street.
you're over here talking to me. But I'm not gonna.
Hey,
I'm not putting it online because you're not part of the video.
we're going to go to the next break, but what I want to do is we're going to come back, give you short how we get in contact with a commercial, and let's
Okay.
talk the last 5 minutes about those special things that you do with videos and how you go into a neighborhood, because those are excellent ideas.
Okay.
Okay, we are back off the break. And Dave is going to sort of tell us how we can get a hold of him, how the listener can get a hold of him, give a short commercial. Then we're going to go really in that last 5 minutes and talk about what he really does with his videos and specialty stuff online.
I'm Dave Woodson. You can find me easily on Twitter at Dave Woodson. You can find me on Facebook at Dave Woodson. In fact, there's other realtors in the nation that are named Dave Woodson, and they hate me because I got Dave Woodson pretty much tied up across the board. If you want to call me, you can call me directly at 219-872-8000, 219-872-8000. You can find me on YouTube, find me on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm easy to find. Just Google Dave Woodson.
You know, I just put Dave Woodson in here, and we're Reno, Nevada, and your picture, the top 7 pictures are all you, and you dominate that front side page. That's a pretty amazing. Now we'll talk about that later. So, we can talk about it now because that was your commercial. You do dominate. I've talked to a lot of people, and I think you dominate more than anybody right now. How did you do that? You don't.
I started early. What really helped me is that I started early. I always joke that I was the last one on MySpace, but I was the first one on Facebook. And I think I was on Facebook in 06, 07. I was on LinkedIn in 05. I was on Twitter on 07, 08. I started doing videos in 08, 09. It just being early to the stage has probably really helped me the most. But the fact that I'm not afraid to be out there is also a big factor. I'm not afraid to put myself out there. I got some stupid videos out there. I got some funny videos out there. I got some work videos out there. My daughter's not afraid to be on the camera. She's always been a big part of my marketing campaign. One of my best billboards I'd ever done was her, and everybody would stop us in the the grocery store, and there's that pretty little girl that was on the billboard. And she always loved it. She always still enjoys it. People still recognize her. So being out there, and it's like a networking event. Well, to me, life is one big networking event. You got to go out there and bang the streets and knock on the doors and be active. And one of the things that I do on a regular basis is video. And I'll go into a neighborhood I can't think of any a Hawthorne subdivision here in Northwest Indiana. And if you type in Hawthorne, Valparaiso, Hawthorne 46383, one of my videos should be on the first page. It doesn't always show up on the first page. I do video tours of neighborhoods. I mean, that's one of them. My goal this year is to do 2 a week. But when the weather breaks, and I'm not going to do it in the wintertime, I want to make sure put the best foot forward. And that's how I beat Zillow at their own game, is being hyper local. Talk about the local streets, talk about the local neighborhoods, talk about the local theaters, the local restaurants. You've got to be hyper locally, and you've got to put yourself out there. My wife complains that I eat out too much. I said, yeah, but I've got to be out there and be seen. And one of the things that's helped me out the most is we're tweet ups or meetups. We used to have meetups here in 07, 08, and we still do them here on a regular basis. We probably do 4 or 5 a year. I have never missed one, and people know me. And this is going to sound so egotistical when I say this. People recognize me on the street, and I have got no clue who they are. It's because they see me on Twitter, they see me on LinkedIn, they see me on Facebook, they see me out and about at all these other networking events, and they just recognize me, and that has really truly helped. And I get deals, I get referrals all the time for that.
So do you go to like meetup.com, the traditional meetups? You don't do your own meetups, right?
Yeah, we will create our own meetups. The NWI Tweetup was our own thing that we had created. I'll go to Meetup once in a while, but I generally, right now, my schedule doesn't let me do the 7:30 in the morning meetups. It just doesn't do it because I got to take my daughter to school at 8 o'clock. But once we move, my schedule is going to be a lot more freer to go do those things at 7:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. And to be able to do the ones I can do the ones at night all day long. To just get my daughter home, that's all I got to worry about get her home, and she take care of herself. Yeah. But the morning ones are the tough ones to get to. What I
find, I have a 600 person meetup, and wow. I think we sold one house to the meetup. It's an entrepreneur meetup, and then I have another one for WordPress, which is about 125 for business users. But in general, the meetups, the people who go to the meetups are looking for lead generation mostly. Some come from other cities. But it wasn't really a profitable venture to run it myself. I think maybe going to other people's meetups is fine. And it's less. It costs you nothing to do that. It costs a bit of money to run that big a meetup.
One of
Hey,
the things
on
we
Dave,
did.
go
One of the
ahead.
things we did is we contacted a local restaurant and said, "Hey, we're gonna bring 30 to 40 to 50 people into your restaurant on a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, whatever night it was. We're not asking for anything free. We're not asking for free drinks. Maybe it's some free appetizers, but we're gonna buy drinks. Everybody's gonna buy 2 or 3 drinks. Put your best foot forward, and most restaurants open the doors for us. So it never costs us any money. It costs us time, but it never costs us money.
Well, we have to pay for the meetup cost, which is $70 twice a year.
Ah,
Meetup. That's what the meetup cost. You ever join meetup?
I have joined Meetup, but they never approached me for a cost.
No, if you run a group, you have to pay
Ah,
if you run the group.
I don't have no run a group, so
To someone else. Yeah, that's, I just told you. Running the group's a little bit different thing. I think you don't want to run the groups between you and I. Hey, you want to go to other people's meetups and help them,
yeah.
be assistant to other people. So
I'm pretty
driving
active
on,
in the chamber.
yeah, you did chamber too, which is old school. Chamber's still there. Hey, I'm looking at your site. I put in Dave Woodson, Woodson. I think that's a good drill for everybody to do online. You dominate. I'm going to go down and ask you about a couple of specifics on here. Tell me about Yelp. What are you doing with Yelp? I'm looking at Yelp. You've got a lot of stuff in Yelp. Are you paying any extra for what you have in Yelp?
They've approached me to pay extra for Yelp, but I have not pulled the trigger on that yet.
You've got
I
real
just
estate video tours.
excuse me.
You've got real estate video tours up on Yelp right in the top. It looks good with your picture.
Yeah, but I have not paid anything extra for it yet.
There's a picture with you. It looks like a C-135, which is an Air Force refueler.
Yeah, I'm an honorary commander for the local air base.
Uh-huh. So that's pretty impressive Yelp, just to have that much exposure in Yelp with the videos, and you get that for free. Free is good if you can.
I do. At this point, I do.
You got Google Plus. It says Dave Woodson. Google Plus goes right to you, which I think is good. Your head's cut off in your picture, though.
Yeah, I got to fix a couple things. I'm not a designer.
So you have one Google Plus. Oh, well,
yeah.
There's some of it's really good. The YouTube looks good down below, and you've got a lot of stuff there. A lot of stuff in the car. A lot of clips.
I was an early adopter to the CarCast. I don't get credit for it though.
Okay, we're going up. We got Active Rain. Tell us about Active Rain.
Active Rain is a real estate blog platform. Ben Kinney bought it this year. Zillow's owned it. Trulia's owned it. I mean, it's been passed around like a cheap date, but now Ben Kinney owns it. I think he's going to try to bring it back. But it's a free platform for realtors to blog on. It used to have a great SEO pool, and now if I blog anywhere, I posted the Active Rain, changed the content a little bit, and give me a link, give myself a link back.
I've got a little a little tool that says if it's going to get SEO and if it actually is going to be plagiarized, and plagiarizing from yourself destroys your SEO if you're not careful. So the next one was Active Rain again. It was talking about Chesterton real estate agent or something.
Chesterton.
Yeah, and then the next one, Dave Wooden presentation slide share or something like that. Was it LinkedIn? Is that in LinkedIn SlideShare, or how do you do that?
Yeah,
is that free?
I think LinkedIn owns them now.
SlideShare. Did you have to have an account in SlideShare?
You have to have an account in SlideShare, but you post your presentations on there, and you get plagiarized a lot off of that. So people steal your stuff, but I don't care. It's free.
I mean, everything on the internet's open. I mean, you don't want to copy it verbatim, but people take it and get ideas.
Yeah.
So
SlideShare's free. SlideShare's free, but also you can pay for it. The extra. I don't pay for the extra.
Then I'm going from the bottom to the top. Then we got Dave Wooden Facebook. So is that your personal Facebook, or that's got to be a page? No, that's your personal site. That's interesting.
I have it open.
Supposedly, Google does not crawl your personal sites, but it must crawl your personal site if it's pushing up that high. Do you have a business page too?
I do. I have 2 business pages.
So the business pages didn't pop on this front page yet. So now we got YouTube. Love your YouTube cover. Business motivation and real estate. That's interesting. That's nice.
Thank you.
That's your driving. That's cool. Really nice. You probably, did you do those graphics yourself?
Yes.
Those are good. You know,
I
you
bought a
shouldn't say
package,
anything.
but I bought a package and changed them.
So, and
That
then
is
finally at the very top, we got DaveWoodson.com. So you truly dominate your name on the front page. I'm going
I
to do the
try.
next test. And that's the DaveWoodson.com, the biker look. What is this? All about everything. That's your like personal page,
Yeah,
phototask,
I
social
was,
media.
when I was consulting, I had my own page. I haven't blogged on there forever. I actually need to update that page.
I don't see anything about real estate on here though. Per se, you are. It says I am a husband and my dad had to go. Okay, a realtor and a Bears fan. That's right at the top. That's good. It's an action site. There's a lot. You've got a lot of stuff up there, more than anybody else I've seen, especially at your level. And that's why you do so well, I think, and you've taken off. That's good. So, how would you suggest an agent who's just starting in the business, who doesn't know a lot about social media, get going?
Just do it. Just go out. There's the namecheck.org or namecheck dot whatever it is. They can Google it and go find out wherever they can get their name and get it out there. If it's on,
Okay.
if you can get it on Google, get it on Google. If you can get it on Twitter, get it on Twitter, LinkedIn. Go wherever you can get your name and go get your name. Even if you never go back there again, at least go put your picture, fill out your profile, and get your name.
Now, I just
And
went
do
into
that.
images. And you're like dominate all the top. Let me tell you one hack that you can do though. If you take like a flyer you make for a listing and you post
Yep.
it on a blog and you tag it with your name, then when you pull up your name, some of your flyers will show up in the bottom. It's kind of fun to see them on image. Try Karen Conrad. Type in Karen Conrad and see what shows up. A lot of stuff shows up, and that's a popular name. Now I'm hitting videos. So you dominate the videos. You got all the videos. That's good. You're dominating almost everything. That's the only thing I can say that you might add to it. But it's very good. So we went a little
I need
long.
to do more videos.
Dave, we went a little long, so we're going to cut off this portion. We'll stay on for a few minutes and see if anybody wants to come up. But you do dominate in this environment. You're very good on site.
Thank you.
One closing thought is how much do you think that helps you in your business?
A ton, absolute ton. I tell people to just Google me, Google me, Google me, Google the next agent, and you'll be impressed.
Okay, we're going to finish up the podcast right now, but we're going to go over. So stay on those who are watching live on Blab, because we're going to talk about, I'm going to ask him this question in YouTube. So you're going to have to go to YouTube at timelinesofsuccess.com, episode 184. And I'm going to ask him this question. I said, why do you think all agents don't do what you do? So hold that thought. All right, Dave, see you all over on YouTube. Great. So we are back on the YouTube portion only. We're off of iTunes, but we've got Jonathan up. We've got Dave on. We just went through Dave's stuff. Dave's got a great presence. I think you have a better presence than my $1 million producer over in Omaha.
You asked if I pay for anything? I mean, yeah, but I pay for Zillow. I pay for. I don't know if I pay for any social presence. I don't pay for LinkedIn. I don't pay for anything on YouTube. I don't pay for anything on Facebook. I buy for some Facebook ads, but I don't pay for any social presence or any social tools.
You think, Jonathan, you think that $5 business account in YouTube, not YouTube, but in Google is worth it for somebody like Dave? I mean, does it give you any SEO juice or just give you that good email?
Well, like I told you, most hosting providers will only provide POP3 email functionality. And when you're dealing with an agent or a broker that has multiple devices, either smartphone, tablet, and they're probably on multiple computers, having a POP3 account is not sufficient. You need IMAP, where the email are kept on the server, and you can have multiple devices log into that server and download the email, but it keeps a copy of the email on the server, where POP3, you only log in once, the email's taken off the server and it's no longer available.
Yeah. So what's the difference between just a straight Gmail account and a Google business account?
Not really a lot, but it's not very. It's fine for. This is only my personal stance on that. it's fine for a personal account. I have a Gmail account for J Denwood, but I don't utilize that for my business. My business is jonathan@mail-right.com. So fine for personal, but not very professional looking for business.
So, Dave, we're going to come back and ask you. We're going to ask you what do you actually pay for? What are the tools you pay for? Zillow.
Okay. Zillow. Are we coming back, or we can do it now?
No, we can do it now. We're recording. We're on YouTube. We're casual.
Yeah, I should silence then because I've got a fair bit of background.
It's not Jonathan. No, it's not bad. I can live.
I pay for Zillow.
I've got to get on with some work.
I pay for some, handful of other tools that I get some phone numbers and emails through that I'm not utilizing like I should. So like Spokio, I use Spokio. It's okay. It doesn't give me everything that I want to get, but it does a fair amount. So Zillow is the biggest one that I pay for. My lender pays for half that through, and we're allowed to do that through RESPA. I just utilize. Go ahead.
Yes. Can I be honest about this, Dave? I've been actively involved in the real estate market now for slightly a year now with MailRight, and I do understand this though, but there is the bit of the kind of silver ball syndrome in this industry where everybody thinks there's a silver bullet to solve all their problems.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%.
But the reality is, good service, keeping in front of the people that can recognize you. If somebody can recognize you, then it's more likely that they will read your stuff and refer somebody to you than somebody that's never seen you before.
Right.
I'm not even saying they have to be that really close, but as long as they recognize you, that's a resource. Most agents and most brokerages are terrible about keeping in front. The more you can keep in front of that type of audience, the more referrals you're going to get.
Exactly. I mean, with us, we use Commissions Inc., which we branded as a Roost Finder. And like this morning, I got a lead from it this morning, and I called her right away. She didn't return my call, so I texted her. She responded to text.
Yeah.
And so you got to have the it's like a 3-3-1 or 3-2-3. Three times the first time, two times the second day, 3 times the next day. You got to keep banging at them sometimes because because until the first person who calls them and gets a hold of them, that's who they're going to talk to. That's who they're going to fall in love with. And I've called on Christmas Day. Go ahead.
What's the tool?
It's called Commissions Inc. But we branded it as we co-branded it as Roost Finder, ROOSTFINDR.com.
And what does Commissions Inc. do for you?
It's a lead generation website. It's exactly all it is. I mean, they do Facebook ads, Bing ads, Google ads, and we've kind of branded it as our Zillow killer. We try to be local, very local with it. And I'm probably getting as many leads. Last week when I got 100 leads, I got 30 leads last night just off one ad that I did on Facebook, and I won't tell you how I do it because if I tell everybody how I do it, then it kind of kills the golden goose.
I'll probably be able to tell you because I've run thousands of Facebook.
I'm sure you could too. So, but it's free.
I'm sorry to burst your bubble, Dave, but there isn't anything particularly magic spice about how you're supposed to do Facebook.
Well, I will tell you, I'm not tell everybody. How's that sound? I'm not telling the world. So
no, but so so basically, do you buy because the other one is it Zip Smart or Smart Zip?
No, I was supposed to go to that Smart Zip today, and I blew it off to do this.
I'm happy we brought you on. Hey, by the way, I tried Zencastr, and Zencastr was destroying the bandwidth, and I had to restart.
Right.
Today, you didn't see that earlier, so Zencastr didn't work. Just stick with this standard platform. Works
so because there's been a bit of controversial about Zip Smart because they were offering part of their package was you got a unique area, and I think it was about 2,000 houses, and they were offering sole ownership of a particular area, and then recently, basically you share with a number of agents that territory, and that kind of put the existing usership. Got them a bit upset, Dave.
Yeah, I don't blame them. So I mean, I don't like when someone says, "Oh, I'm going to give you the the exclusive for extra money, I'm giving you exclusive territory." Because give me a territory, and I'll blow the other agent out of the water. Because I'm gonna work harder, I'm gonna work smarter, and I'm gonna keep up with it. And I know my competition. I mean, in my competition, I've got maybe 4 guys in Northwest Indiana that I compete with, who are just. I mean, I don't want to say just as smart as I am, because I think I'm smarter, but who maybe work harder than I do, and they're hungrier.
Because I've come to the also the thing I've learned that in most areas, most of the registered agents in a particular area basically are not really. I don't know how to put this. They're not really marketing, and they're not really trying. It's something to say that they're doing something. I'm an agent, but apart from personal referrals, they basically don't do nothing, do they?
Yeah, but the one guy that I kind of compare myself to, if his dad wasn't in the picture, he wouldn't be getting half the business he gets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My wife just lost one to a attorney referral, and it was a kid in his 20s, and she should have had this listing.
Are you still talking about that, Bill?
No, but no, it's a good example. It just happened last month. I mean, stuff like that happens. The 2 things in real estate, and you probably see this generally: blood is thicker than water. So people will list with their brand new agent who's a relative, cousin, something like that. Give them a chance. It doesn't do them any good. But that's 90% of listings is that relationship. That still happens. And John, you didn't miss the first part of the show, but we talked about the 5. As a broker, I love the 5 or 6 transaction agent. We get a high split brokerage, and I get a ton of those folks who make a good living. Well, the broker makes a good living. The 5 or 6 transactions.
You, the broker, make a good living, and if they're happy with that, that's fine. But I rather have really active agents that really want to make a business rather than that. But it's all there's different ways to skin the cat, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the other model is the team system, which the broker doesn't make as much, but it has to be based on volume. But a couple of low-end agents, you might make as much as a big team, but you want that team person, that big name, because the other low-end agents come into your brokerage, and that's where you make your money as a broker. Is the non-producing agents is where you make your money, 3 to 5, 3 to 6. But then you have to have a couple big anchor brokers.
I've got to be truthful to you, Bill. Apart from if it was my son or my daughter, and I was helping them out to get going, I would not want to go with an agent. My biggest asset of that I probably have, I would want to go with the most effective agent I could find, not some person that I've got some limited. A lot of people work off
emotion. You're thinking logic.
Yeah, you're thinking too logical.
You're thinking too logical, Jonathan. Real estate is mostly emotion.
Yeah,
I've seen really good agents lose transactions because they didn't attach emotionally with a person.
Yeah, I can understand that.
A very emotional thing, especially if you live in it.
I need a tech tip for my company newsletter this week. You got one for me?
What kind of tip do you want?
There you go.
That's a tech tip. I need a good tech tip. I need something that's real estate related for the tech tip. Whoop, someone's at my door. Hold on a minute. I'll be right back.
Go on. We'll keep on talking. Hey, Jim. Jim, we missed your Jim was going to come up today. Jim, you can come up if you want it for a while. I'm going to redo. We're trying some things different. We rarely got this podcast off today. But hey, do you ever listen, Jonathan, to I think it's 183. Which one is it? I just listened to it this morning. It was pretty good listing presentation. That's called A Big Team.
That worked.
And Karen is looking him up. 183, 182. That was Jeff Cohen. You're gonna have Jeff on MailRite, right?
Yeah, I think Jeff's a very effective real estate broker. He's very intense. And if that's a cup of tea, I think she'll get value. I think Jeff, like I say, he's all about results.
Well, he's also selling a $3,000 course too.
Yeah, well, he's all about results.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, welcome to the show. You're supposed to be on today. I've never had this happen before, and I learned a lesson. I should have called up. But really weird. Dave sort of went on and off my schedule. It's the first time I've ever had a double schedule. It worked out fine. I know you have a little bit more flexibility, but stay on for a while. You're listening. We didn't really get to interview, but what do you do, Jim?
I am now retired, so I'm in an altruistic mission, similar to the gentleman you had on there, JD, who's got the Science Channel, right?
Yeah, I think he's in really good shape.
I've got to be off, Bill. I'll see you soon.
Hey, come on, Jonathan. Anytime I have the real estate person up, you should try to come on. I'm trying to do 1 or 2 real estate people a week so I can figure this thing out, what's going on out there in real estate.
Well, we have to discuss that because we kind of do.
I'm going to do it in the morning, though. I'm going to do it on my show in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all can go over and MailRite, too, or if you want to jump in on MailRite, you're welcome to. Not MailRite, but timelines.
See you later, Bill.
Hey, Jonathan, before you... Guess not.
You want to talk to him? You can talk to him.
Well, if he can still hear me, I was just going to say that I just did a lot of blasting on your WP Tonic across my pretty broad Facebook and Google Plus presence to give you guys a shout out.
He came to me. I started trying to learn WordPress at the local Word app. He was actually teaching it, and he came to me about creating a podcast. We started creating a podcast in the collective, and that's WP Tonic. WP Tonic, it ranks number 2 to 4 on iTunes.
I heard that. WordPress. It's amazing.
It's not. I'm trying to figure out exactly how we did it. It was a slow climb, but we've been trying to figure out the formula, and not sure what the formula is to get up there. And we did it. I think it's just being consistent. I think it's having a decent web page that's fast.
Yep.
A lot of combinations of things.
Hi, Dave.
Dave, Jim was supposed to be on today. You flip-flopped. I don't know what happened to my schedule, but it worked out okay. I am looking for other real estate agents who are top producers to get on the show in the morning.
I can help you.
I'd like to get at least 2 a week. I want to find out, how do we make real estate really work? Because, I look back, the most money I ever made in my life, other than when I worked for the government and I made as much as the vice president of the United States because of what I did. I capped out. That's the max you're allowed to make as a government officials is the vice president of the United States. That's the cap. And I capped. So, but I did that for a few years. But the administration's changed.
You know what I said. I said you were an assassin.
Yeah. There you go. Well, not really. Not quite.
Yeah, let me explain who my real estate agent is here in Arizona.
Okay, go ahead.
Julie was the primary, and she was away for a week, and she had somebody back her up whose name is Nikki Poussin. And I met Nikki's husband after we had concluded the transaction, and he blew me away. He not only is a successful real estate agent, but you're familiar with Send Out Cards, probably one of the most successful MLM programs. 75% of the entire Send Out Cards organization is in his downline.
Wow.
Yeah, that's wow.
Now,
and so
I know I saw Send Out Cards. Somebody approached me with that like 6 or 7 months ago.
So we've become friends and had cocktails together, and he tried to recruit me. And I said, I have been the invited guest on the MLM Millionaires Club. And I said, Bess, you got to be crazy. I've got the reputation of being pretty public about what I think of MLM, and you're inviting me on your show. And that's kind of funny because I got burnt in MLM, and I don't do that. But you asked me a question. I truly have stumbled upon the number one most effective communication tool in the world. And that's a strong statement. So all I want is people to say, okay, Jim, prove it to me. And I've done a lot of losing money for about 5 years trying to do that.
How'd you lose? Tell me, I want to learn how you lost money too, but keep on going.
Yeah. But what I needed a personality who had, some exposure. because I learned a long time ago in the computer business, if you get yourself tied up with the top influencers, your sales will skyrocket. And that's what happened to me. I was all about influencers because my title was relationship director. How's that? But anyway, do you know who Wayne Messmer is? Being from Nevada, you might not.
No.
Yeah,
How about you, Dave?
Wayne's used to sing the national anthem up here.
Absolutely. Okay. So he's kind of world famous for that. And people said, well, didn't he sing for the Blackhawks too? And I said, yeah, before he bought the Wolves. So he owns the Wolves.
Oh, I forgot that he did that. I knew he did the Blackhawks and the Bulls, and he used to be on a local radio show up here. Oh, I say local, Chicago.
Yeah. Well, Bill, if you ask anybody on the street in Chicago, do you know Wayne Messmer, you got about a 99% chance of getting a yes. So anyway, there's a thing about Wayne that most people don't know, is that he's a tremendous actor. And you'll find that I am deeply involved in charity and always have been. So 11 years ago now, he actually performed a one-man play in, where are you from, Dave?
Outside Chicago, Michigan City.
Michigan City. Okay, I came from McHenry, and the Rao Center in Crystal Lake.
Yep.
Was built. It's a top-notch theater, and he actually sold that out and donated all the money, the proceeds, to my kids. I was involved in Rainbows for All God's Children for kids who've lost. Thank you, kids who've lost a parent through death and divorce. So anyway, he also was the professional MC down at NIU in Sycamore, or DeKalb actually.
Yep.
And we had about 3,000 men in the Catholic Men's Conference. So periodically I'd bug him and I'd say, hey, Wayne, when are you going to do that again? Well, I bugged him so often that last year he said, okay, Jim, I give up. Go talk to Bob. And Bob Fallon was the head of the Knights of Columbus in the area, and we got together and we did it at St. Anne's, and he's continuing to do the performance. But what I said is, I'll do all the video editing and everything for free. All I want is the stats, right? I've got this tool that can document whether somebody is holding the phone this way or this way, what time of day. I mean, the statistics will blow you out of the water. And I said, if I can prove success, then I can show that doing it the way I teach people is successful where everybody else has been a failure. Now, you notice the one term I didn't use was QR codes, because it's like throwing fire. Everybody says, oh, yeah, that's old technology. We tried that. It didn't work. Therefore, I've rebranded them call to action symbols. And bottom line, I put 1,800 butts in seats with less than 4 weeks advance notice. So it works, and I can share the statistics with anybody. But that's my mission, to get people to properly use QR codes, rebranded call to action symbols, so that they can succeed in their communication. And when I used to be in business, my less than altruistic need was, once I get people doing that, now I can take them to the next step and show them that the number one way to communicate with QR codes is with mobile websites and videos. And that's what I used to do. I don't do it anymore. That makes sense?
It does.
I didn't totally follow. So how do you do it with QR codes?
And again, I've given you a bunch of links,
yeah, I saw those.
You can't become an expert in 3 minutes. I can't communicate it in 140 characters, and that's why I failed. But a QR code allows you to scan and do much more than take people to your webpage, which is about what 90% of the people do with it, right? Because if it takes them to the webpage and it's not mobile optimized, they're gone in under 4 seconds.
Be right back, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. I was going to type in a little note to send you a note.
Now, on topic, and we said we couldn't do it, but we're here. I used it to get people elected.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you what I like to do. I prefer to have someone do you've already done it, but come on like now after a show before they go on a normal timeline show. I like to invite them from here to tell the truth.
Yeah.
A lot of people come on my shows. Last week, like 4 or 5 people have never been on Blab. They came out okay, I'd rather have them come up after a show and talk like this.
Yeah, of course. What I did was, again, I was looking for influencers, the people with the widest audience so that I could prove success. And in McHenry County, which Dave and I just talked about, it's the northwest part of Chicago, there was 2 highly rated races, or highly contended races. One was for the sheriff, and there was 400,000 people in this county. And the other was for clerk of courts. And I approached the sheriff. It's funny. I sat down with him and I said, "Hi, I'm Jim Bannon. I'm a drug pusher." Because my line was, I used to push 2 drugs of choice. At the time, it worked. Facebook likes generator. Okay. And the other one was a movies, mobile optimized video site. So I proposed using them to get him elected. And he said, "Oh, I've already got a social media girl." And I said, No, you don't understand. Well, he didn't go with it. He lost by 18 votes. And I could bet my house I could have got him elected. Mary, who wasn't as technically knowledgeable, did trust me, and we got her elected.
Mm-hmm.
That's simple. So, again, we'll talk about it offline, but I developed relationships with a company that you want to meet, and it's called Online Candidate. And
I saw that.
Shane Daly is just dynamite. And then the other guy I tried to help was an incumbent who unfortunately didn't follow my directions and lost his seat, didn't get reelected. But he's involved with a group out of Palatine, which is another Chicago community that are pretty national in terms of helping candidates get reelected.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a little time in that arena. And again, like so many people that I talk to, very few people will do their homework, and therefore they're going to end up not understanding. My joke is one of my greatest friends and admirers is the senior professor at DeVry University. He was on President Bush's Leadership Council in 2005, and this guy is really wired. And for whatever reason, he and I really hit it off. And so I don't have a master's degree. And when people won't do the homework that I assign them, I tell them, I asked Dr. John for a master's degree in 3 days, and you know what his answer was?
No, what was
it? No. Do you know any professor is going to give you a master's degree in 3 days?
No, not a real one.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with the way I do call to action symbols. Now, it's all out there. I mean, I joke you could put in call to action and you get to page 65. That's not me, because I've got some pretty broad internet presence. But if you look at the blog where the real meat is, the number of comments on there are probably less than 2 hands. I just can't get people to read. I mean, I tried putting a link in there for a podcast so that I could do an audio track. If you don't want to read, maybe you want to listen. I've done, and people say you got to do brief, so I've got a 1-page infographic. I can't get people to do that. I mean, I've tried every way to communicate this message, and I have failed miserably. So my next goal is, my goal for 2016 is to get Major League Baseball. I have some very strong contacts there, and or Elio Motors, that new 3-wheel auto cycle, to get either of them to use call to action symbols in every single audience touch that they have this year. And I think I'll probably get minor league baseball as a result of that. I've got some very close friends there.
Can you drop in some action or some examples of call to action over here on the right side?
Sure. Here, just go to Google. All right, just go to Google or go to your address bar and type in hashtag call to the number 2 action symbols is probably the best thing. And you can't send a graphic through here, can you?
There is a way to do it. I forgot how to do it. There's a little system which Rob Hicks does that works really well. He drops it in. It's a little path. I could figure that out.
Let me see if I can find
call to action symbols. The first one says Ruby dynamic method called whatever.
No, that's not it. You can see my ugly face in some of them, right?
Call to action symbols. I didn't put it all in one blogging word.
Oh, it's got to be one word.
Hi, Mike. Mike's up there. Hi, Mike. It's call to action symbols, so you get it. Is that?
Yeah. I'm posting a couple things in the message. I'm trying to find out which one is the one-page infographic. It would be
one-page infographic.
Let me try this in a tab. I've got a dual screen monitor, so if you see me,
have some nice graphics.
Thank you. If you see, well, again, I've failed. So when I start succeeding, no, that's not.
Except your backside of your Facebook could be tired. Hey, we're doing next week on WP Tonic the whole month. We're talking about graphics on WordPress. It'd be nice. We're getting some special technical people in there and go through it the whole month. First episode is the general episode. Then we have some specifics. We have online guests, and then we do a roundtable with about 7 or 8 people at the end of the month.
Oh, good.
All about graphics. Well, you know, a lot of us know how to build pretty good, solid WordPress sites and coded and won't break. But to get the graphics in there and do those well, there's some tricks and some plugins and things that can help you.
I refuse to do WordPress. I've learned so many things, and that's where I drew the bottom line. I drew the bottom line with any Mac product. I don't do iPhone. I don't do iPhone, iPad, iWife, iCar, iToo expensive. I don't do any of those. Yeah. And what's ironic is that I was the invited guest along with 300 people with Dr. John's move to the Technology Center in Illinois, and he had 2 guest speakers. One is a Nobel Prize winner, GPA, and the other was the president of Apple Marketing. And John knows my quote. I says, Steve Jobs must have been absent from class the day that they taught industry standards.
No, he's independent.
Yeah, he said, "Can I use your quote?" I said, "Yeah, just don't use it in front of your guest. I don't think he'd like it a great deal."
Yeah, I'm a Mac person. I was 25 years on PCs, engineering, Exchange server. I got pretty good on Exchange server. But the Mac just works and it's easy. And I've transitioned my wife after 20 some odd years onto Mac. I could tell you how to take pages and make a heck of a flyer for a real estate agent fast.
Yeah.
Got templates. They just drop in the pictures, modify them real fast, turn them into PDFs, and they're done.
Yeah. Obviously, I say this tongue in cheek, right?
Really? Okay. You're not using Mac now, though, right?
Pardon me?
Your PC, right?
Yeah. I mean, back when Apple had 7% market share, I would have bet they would have disappeared off the face of the earth.
They almost did. They came within months.
And I know the whole story. And obviously, they're the highest valued company, despite the $180 billion loss in the last 6 months in the United States. So obviously, I was wrong. I never bet on beta. Okay, at least I didn't do that. But I did bet on DSL versus cable when I wrote the marketing plan for structured wiring in America. So there was another thumbs down. But I caught up real quick. So back to real estate agents. If a real estate agent would use call to action symbols, they could create two-way communication with their audience, and that's huge. That's number one. Number two, they would be able to know, I call it a wedding invitation. Picture sending out a wedding invitation. Clearly, you've got a targeted market, right? And inside that invitation is normally an RSVP. So you've got a measurement on the results. Well, think about advertising, especially small business advertising. They know their dollar expenditure because they pay the invoice. But the other part of that return on investment equation, they never get, and that's the measurement. What kind of a return on investment are they getting for their investment? Very few know. They don't do A/B split testing. They don't have any feedback. And that's what I can deliver with call to action symbols. I can deliver all the statistics to let you know whether you should do campaign A or campaign B. And if campaign A is not giving you the return on investment, hello, stop doing it. Do more of B. It's that simple. It's that simple.
Right.
I'm trying to. No, that doesn't make sense. But it's easier said than done. Doing A/B
Right.
split testing is not as easy as you might think. I mean, you've got to get the right. We got to get the right tests in place. You got to know. You got to limit your variables. It's scientific approach to testing, which is, you go to school a long time to learn how to do that, and then to apply what we're doing here on the internet and get all the pieces right.
There's the graphic.
It takes a while to do that.
I finally found it. That's
a beautiful graphic. I saw that earlier.
Okay. I used to actually make sales calls as a mute.
But I haven't seen anybody using that in a long, long time.
No, because they failed. Everybody did it wrong. Now, there's a little company
old technology
you might have heard of. It's not old technology. There's a little company you might have heard of called Walmart.
Yeah.
Every single cash register receipt for now about the last 6 months coming out of their registers, we're talking about 100 million visits a week, have a QR code on the bottom of it. Now, I have the cell phone of Brian Monahan, yet he's the vice president of marketing, who designed the plan, yet he didn't return my call. He met with one of my friends in New York, and we had a very short period of his attention time. So we actually created an infographic for Brian. My friend is Alex Young. He's a big PR guy out of New York. And he said, Brian, Jim is jumping up and down. He thinks you're doing the greatest thing in the world. However, you want to give him a call because he can help you do it a little bit better. And he never called me back. Okay. Now, the truth is that the way they produce the codes, they do against you saw my infographic. Let me find them. I have an infographic. It's called Rule of 4, and it's the 4 best practices for QR codes. So Walmart failed with step 1. And what I say about step 1 is
let me
never.
cut you off for a second, real quick. Bill, I gotta go. I've missed like 4 phone calls in the last half hour.
Yeah, I apologize. We need to hit 2. We're going to stay on another 10 minutes, but we thank you for coming up. I'll have that up. It'll be up tonight. It'll be nice and clean. It'll come out well. Here, stay with me a second. I'm going to take a snapshot of you because you really got a good video right now. Back where you were. Come up where you were. That was with the sun on your face. Shoot, my Apple mouse, which I tried to get set up. There it goes. Reconnected. You look really good right there. Let me do a snapshot. This is weird. Got too much stuff. Can you lower your head a little bit? Stay down. Go back a little bit because it's really good with the sun. Go back, down, scrunch. We're doing like a shot. There you go. It's a little too much scrunch. Let me do one more of those. This is hysterical. I'm going to get, you have so many good shots online. I'll probably follow one online, but sometimes these shots come out really well here. This is how I take the pictures for the show, but you look good. It comes across well. Hey, thanks. I'm happy we fixed the sound. Hey, Dave, I'll see you back up. Come check in from time to time. Come on the backside of the show, especially when we have real estate agents and brokers and specialists, and ask them a question or two.
Jim, it was nice meeting you. Bill,
I'll start
appreciate it.
Emailing when I have a real estate agent or specialist on. I'll start putting in an email batch. I'll start emailing you out before I have.
I appreciate it, sir. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. Take care.
Have a good one, Dave.
Goodbye.
Yes. We have a real estate company. Our main money is through real estate still. In other things, I've tried some other stuff, but I built too. I'm a builder. My passion used to be building, but I just don't have the capital to build like I used to.
Yeah, I get in the building industry.
I love building, design building. Did it well. I did it for the government. I did it for myself, and I built all. I just I like working in that business, I like building, creating things. But
I liked it until March of 2008.
Oh yeah, you got it out by then. I was pretty safe by 2008. I was back on working for the federal government. I was back in the military. I was on active duty.
I started with zero. I mean, zero. And I'm very thankful for a guy who hired me when no one else would. And so I became a new business development manager in the cabinet and countertop business. I mean, zero, no business.
Right.
And in the first first year, I brought in $7.2 million worth of prospective business for him to quote on. Yes. And he was always highest bidder. So we ended up with $268,000 in sales, and he was running in the red. And when he asked me to sign a non-compete, the tempers went up. We parted because I was in discussions with Silestone to take over their Chicago market. Mm-hmm. So I got back up into the 6 figures.
So wait a second. If he's the highest bidder, and you're doing that much volume. How can you be in the red?
Yeah, I know. That's why it's just kind of terrible. So anyway, I got recruited by Silestone, and I joined them to turn around their Chicago market. I went through 5 managers in 14 months, 3 company name changes. It was unbelievable. But I got to know every builder in the Chicago market. I negotiated a national agreement with William Ryan nationally. I got all of their business in Wisconsin, all their business in Chicago. I had the 2 top independent builders in my area. I mean, I had it basically all. I went through cancer surgery, I went through a knee replacement, and then I went through a construction accident that put 1.5 feet of titanium and 13 screws in my leg. And so my 5th boss came on board and he said, you got 60 days to double your sales or you're gone. In 30 days, I was gone. So that's when I left the building materials industry in March of 2008.
Okay.
And I started this business like Paul Elio in October of 2010.
Which business is that?
It was, I rebranded it. I started out with, I own the domain PowerPoint2YouTube.com, because after my history with McDonald's and then General Electric, and here I was over 50 trying to look for a job, and it just wasn't going to happen, right? So I sat down with the president of our local chamber. She says, Jim, no one's going to hire you. I suggest what you do is you go home and you look at what you do well and you start your own business. So I looked in the mirror and I said, you know, I don't have General Electric behind me. Kind of hard to build from scratch. So what was I successful at? It was communication. Well, what tool did I use? Well, just like every other national sales manager, PowerPoint. Well, what are the trends? Well, e-marketing, internet, video. So how many of your compatriots would love to have their message in video? 98%. So what's the easiest way to do it? So I did a lot of research and got a guy that coached me out of Arizona or Nevada. His name's Dave Kallstrom, and he runs what's it? Inbound. What the heck's the name of his company? Inbound Excellence, I think. I have to look it up. It's been a while. And so anyway, we got this domain. I bought it from Hostcaster. Then they wouldn't host it. So I had to go all the way up to the president and say, I bought the domain from you. Now you won't host it, you know, because they were afraid of having YouTube slap them on the wrist or whatever. So they finally said, okay, we'll let you do it. So anyway, the idea that I had, a company called Brainshark actually implemented it, not as well as my vision was. And they got a $30,000 a year contract with my wife's employer, who was Rust-Oleum, that I would have been happy to do for $2,500. So bottom line is I spent a lot of money trying to make that thing work, and just failure after failure. So when I redid it, I repositioned myself and changed from eMotion Marketing Solutions, which was the umbrella name of that company. Now you see why when Josh started talking about emotion, I know a little bit about that. I rebranded it and I called it Budget Video, the number 4 Biz. So now when I go to a network meeting and I go, hi, I'm Jim Bannon, I'm Chief Innovation Officer for Budget Video for Biz, and they go, what do you do? I say, this conversation's over. You are not listening. I do budget video for business. That's what I do. And then I stumbled upon a relationship with a guy whose top 2 customers are Kohl's and Macy's. His name's Dave Harper. And it's an interesting story behind it. He called me on the phone one day and he said, Jim, this is Dave Harper. I am the CEO and founder of Deliver.com, and I don't talk to customers. You know, I got people. But you, I wanted to talk to. I cannot figure out what you're doing. I don't want you selling my software. That's how the conversation started. And the conversation ended with him saying, I will give you every resource in the company. And by the way, who's that virtual partner of yours out of New York? I'll give it to her too, because I was going to become the best salesperson he never paid. Even though he offered me an affiliate program, I said, all I want to do is unbridled use of your software so that I can use it for a tool to market a drug of choice to market a movies mobile optimized video site. Okay, and it's just powerful, powerful tool. So then I ran down, and again, I'm supposed to be the communication expert, right? And I ran down, how do I get this vision across to people who just won't read, they won't listen, they won't do the homework to make themselves successful. And at one time, I was selling a $995 a month package for a month package for $47 one time, and I still couldn't sell it. So I closed up shop, moved to Arizona, and my wife says, "What about retirement? Don't you understand?" And now I'm back, just like if you saw the movie Joy, I'm going to sort of prove everybody wrong. And even though I won't make money on it, I can get people going, do you know how great this is? And I'm going to quit talking here in a second, but here's my story. Adam and Eve, you might have heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
In the garden, after she ate the apple, they noticed they were naked. So after that happened, Adam looked at Eve and thought, kind of foxy looking. And then he looked down and he says, "Eve, you better stand back. I have no idea how big this thing's going to get." So that's my story about call to action symbols. If I can get somebody of the magnitude of Walmart or a guy like you or a major real estate company or Major League Baseball or Elio Motors, if I can get somebody to just trust me the way that Sam Walton did and just do what I tell them to do and then be successful, that's all I need.
Well, let me tell you, it's good that you came up and you talked and we went over this, because it's kind of weird that your interview was, well, I can see what happened. I had one open up, but the person must have accidentally taken himself back off and put it back on. It was,
no
it was a fluke. Go ahead and re-sign up. I'm looking at my schedule right now, and the 29th is open. That's the next open slot. 29th, 30th. That's amazing. I don't have anybody after. I'm solid filled up to 29th, and it drops off. It usually doesn't happen like that. I got to check my system. I go out 3 weeks in advance, and go ahead and put in the 29th. It'll give me some time to digest. So I've already written up your show notes for what it's worth. I wrote those up last night. So you already got a blog halfway built, and I'll work on it more. And also, if you can, I'm trying to find some good real estate agents who have a very good sound and a decent system. ATR 2100, I'm happy with that. I prefer that of anything else for people to use. You're fine. You have a very good headset. But if you send
again, yeah, let me be all about you, okay? And again, here's the gift I can give to you. I'll call him on the phone this afternoon, and I can probably get Chuck Poussin to be here.
Okay, good.
As I said, he's the guy who has that huge send out cards downline.
Yeah, I know. I've seen that before. Yeah.
But more importantly, he had a program building websites for about every builder here in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had huge presence.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think a builder should have a basic website or something to show off and put his work up there as it's worked and blog. Yeah, I would do something different. I'll look, but definitely, I'd love to have anybody have your good area down in Arizona, right? What part of Arizona?
Yes. I'm in the very southeast corner of the valley outside of Phoenix. It's called Santan Valley. Mm-hmm. Queen Creek is a local that people know. It's just southeast of Mesa.
My uncle lives in Sun Lakes.
I've only been here since the end of October. I don't know where that is.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah, Sun Lakes is right next to Intel's Ocotillo plant.
Yeah, it's got 3 or 4 golf courses. He likes it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, he's done real well down there. So anyway, stay in touch. I'm up every day, but I'm going to go back to work. I've got a little editing to do on this show. We had a marathon yesterday of shows, but I am trying to do more real estate agents because that's my business. That's really my main business. That's our money business. Hey, one thing I will say is this online business is tough.
Yes.
Anybody that thinks that they can get wealthy, it's just a very small number, but most people are struggling. I don't know what the exact code is. I can build a pretty good website. There's still so much to learn, but I think it takes years. There are a lot of money to hire the right people. For example, a couple of thoughts. I had a friend who's a very smart engineer and makes a lot of money, but he didn't want to be an engineer anymore. He's works in oil systems. His fiance works in the North Sea, and he lives in Reno. So she'd come back, work for 3 weeks out in the rig, and then come back here for like 3 weeks. He went down to Texas to get a job because he dropped $37,000 trying to set up an online business. He really didn't know websites or word pages. He made some pretty good videos. He's good on front of camera making videos. He was from South Africa, had worked in Dubai, the Middle East, made good money, loved Reno, but he did not succeed. He dropped $37,000 going to courses and classes, and you'd know the people he went to see and talk to, and they're always upselling them, and they're very expensive courses. And his lists were huge, and he came on a couple of my podcasts early on, and we got great numbers. I got great numbers when he'd come on because he'd send it out to his list, but his list wasn't that good. He bought it. It was like he bought a $10,000 plus person list and then built on it. So I think you have to organically build your list. It's sort of like
no question,
step at a time, and you can't overdo it. Even sending out like just emails to real estate agents I know, and they come and listen when I have a real estate agent on the show like today. So I think I'm going to start doing that. The biggest expense I have, the one tool I have, which I probably shouldn't have, is Infusionsoft.
Oh yeah.
It's $200 a month. It's a very difficult platform. And I'm not sure I've been working with, I do like it because it takes a lot of different elements and puts them together. And I've learned the process, but it's still a very hard platform for anybody.
It's Cadillac though. It's the best there is.
Yeah. It's still a lot of work though. If I had to do it again, I'd say get to a certain level, hire somebody who really knows what they're doing. It's going to probably cost you $7,000 to get the product, and then don't hire one of the Infusionsoft people, but find out who's the best partner out there. I think the partners are so much better because when I initially bought it, I got the experience of getting, $1,200 worth of worthless training from one of their Infusionsoft trainers who didn't know much more than I knew.
Yeah. Remember, I came from the computer business, and when it came to training, it was something. To answer the points you just made, 2 names, Carol Tice, and by the way, while it's on my mind, I couldn't find your Skype name.
Oh, it's right underneath. Can you see it on there? It's I've got several Skypes, but if it's podcastershome.com, Podcasters Home. Yeah, it should be under my name. If you go to my picture.
I tried that. Now I'm saying Skype.
No. No. Oh, I used to think of Skype. I don't use Skype very much, but I used to use it all the time to produce it.
Well, please get me the name, because that's the only way I can get you invited into the group.
Oh, I got to redo my Skype. I can get you my Skype stuff.
Okay,
I have a new
send that
version
later.
of call recorder that's asking. I'll skip this version. Let me tell you what it is. I just launched Skype. It's I used to skip all the time. So Skype, that's interesting. That can't be my Skype name. Timelinesofsuccess.com. That's the word page. I think it's something simple like
here's an easy way. Just add me as a contact.
Here it's William.b.Conrad is my Skype name. That's pretty simple.
William, yeah.
Drop this in here.
.b.Conrad. But still, if you've got it open, add me. I think mine's closed. I'm Jim Bannon, 306.
It's open right now. So let's see if I can invite you. Jim
Bannon, Bannon, 306.
No match. Let me do a search. I don't know why I just did what I did. That's one thing always thrown off in Skype. I haven't been on the platform for a while. They have like a search, but you're only really searching your own contacts. You have to go online. No.
If you put in that search box, let me do it again. Jim Bannon 306. JIMBANNON 306. Search. It should pop right up. No results found. Okay.
Good. I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one. So
see Jim Bannon
must be using. Let me go to my profile. Contacts. Profile. Edit your profile.
I think on that search.
No, it's Jim Bannon 306.
On that search, you have to go add contact.
Right. Add
then
contact.
You go Jim Bannon. Because that other search only searches people that are in
contacts. See, you taught me.
It's been a while since I've been up on this. I used to use this all the time. There you are.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Now
I just sent a request to add you to the list.
Right. Let me get home, and you should be popping up now.
I have not used that much. Jason. Jason's got 2 messages for me. Wow. I sent a voicemail.
Okay, so let me make my point. the thing that got me started really successfully was an invitation to that Skype bloggers mastermind group.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the people that I befriended is Carol Tice. Do you know Carol?
No. Is it a real estate agent?
No. She will only write for Forbes now. She's a professional blogger, but more importantly, she taught professional bloggers. She has so many people on her membership site that she shuts it off. She only turns it on every now and then for new memberships. She makes over $300,000 a year just off the membership site.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been working on that myself. I've been going over membership sites for months, trying to figure out not just membership sites, but learning management systems, LMS.
Right. So she's the one that I would tell you is the number one success that I know. Right. She sells a course, but because she's my friend, we're in contact. I can just drop her a note and we converse every now and then and say, hey, Carol, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the people who head up the Blogger Mastermind are Aaron McKay out of Brazil and Gail Gardner, who's my close friend out of Oklahoma City. So I'll get you added to that Skype bloggers group. The one that you'll probably immediately make a relationship with is Joshua Alexander, who is, as far as I know, number one WordPress guy in the world. When they have those national WordPress things, he's an invited guest speaker. And again, I don't do WordPress, but Joshua is the guy that when the WordPress experts get stuck, they go to Joshua. So he's pretty powerful.
I just pulled him up. Joshua Alexander. What does he do? No, it didn't come up there. Joshua Alexander, Joshua Alexander WordPress. We do a show. We've interviewed probably the top people in the world.
And by the way, he's got his Skype thing off all the time just to stop traffic.
Yeah. I don't use Skype.
But you can reach him.
He's got like a techie and JoshuaAlexander.net has just a basic. It's called a Genesis framework site. I've got the same thing if you find mine. Just sitting there.
Yeah, here's his Skype name. And when you ask to connect with him, just use my name.
Word speed optimization. Word speed optimization.
All right. So Carol Tice is number one. The other person who's making money is Pam Hendrickson. Do you know her?
I've heard that name.
For 18 years, she was the vice president of a little organization called Anthony Robbins.
Oh, yeah.
And the lady she's working with now is Jeannie Hurlburt, who's a doctoral professor out of University of South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So those two people are making real money on the internet. I mean, real money.
Yeah. You ever hear of John Lee Dumas in podcasting?
No.
JLD? You want to see money from a guy who's just done it. He's done a pretty amazing job. It's
I'll check him out.
EO Fire.
Then the other one that is a personal friend that I can introduce you to. Are you familiar with My Video Talk?
Nope. I can put it in.
Well, that was the MLM that I get involved in and said I will never again do that. But their competitor was Talk Fusion. You familiar with them?
I put it in. My Video Talk came up with USA. My Video.
Yep.
So that's an MLM, huh?
Yep. Technology's great. Organization is terrible.
I think I've heard of it.
But the number one competitor is called Talk Fusion.
I've heard of Talk Fusion, I think.
Okay. The number one guy in Talk Fusion was my buddy, JJ Ulrich. And JJ started an organization that I actually became part of the management group before I retired.
Mm-hmm.
The chief financial officer, spent 8 years with Microsoft working for Paul Allen. And that company is called Smash Solutions.
Mm-hmm.
You familiar with them?
No, I've heard of Infusion. No.
Yeah, Smash Solutions would knock Infusionsoft right out of the water if they got through they've been 3 years in beta. If they got through their beta stage and got some financing.
Right.
It's Hootsuite, it's Facebook, it's LinkedIn, it's, all of these platforms rolled into one. It's everything in the kitchen sink.
It doesn't look too bad. A little slow in the load there. It's not bad, though.
I would suggest you watch out for that. It's
optimization we produce. If you could do that for a real estate agent right there. Like their mission, the why. They've got who we are, our mission, and the why. That's nice. I like how they laid it out. Who we are, the mission, and why. Well, I got to go. Did you just sign up yet? Make sure you sign up. You can do it right now. Just go to number 2. And I can,
wait a minute. Give me the.
Let me put
it again.
Let me drop it back in here. I'm going to drop this back in here.
Yeah, that'll be great.
So this is the way I like to copy it. If you go to timelinesofsuccess.com, you go to links, and you'll find it right under links. That's my scheduling link. Go there right now. Just hit it while we're here. And just go to number 2. Open
Ready
it up.
to ignite entrepreneurial journey. Would I click on the wrong link?
No, you did EO Fire. Go look at EO Fire. That's John Lee Dumas. He makes $2 million a year. He's gone from 0 to $2 million in about 3 years.
Okay, I'm on this thing. Let me see.
Go to
if Cookie saved it, Jim.
No, I just dropped it in. I'll drop it in again. There's 2 of them. Same thing.
No, I got it. 81.
Just click it. Click it right now. Go to number 2.
I'm filling out the form, right?
No, you already filled the form out, I think, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
You already filled the form. Don't refill the form.
Number 2, click the schedule.
Just go to click the schedule.
I'm here. Oh, good.
Okay, click the schedule. Look right in front of me so I can see this. Go on to the 22nd.
22nd. That's today.
No, wait a second. 29th.
29th is next Friday.
That is interesting. No wonder I'm not getting any past that because my calendar, I've got to go to the next calendar. Okay. So people have to jump to the next calendar and they don't see that.
Continue. First name.
That's not good. That's why people don't see the next calendar. Ooh, that is weird. I could see how people wouldn't connect there. So they can't schedule. They see there's no more scheduling available. Wow. That's not good. I got to talk to these guys. People don't see it to go to the next level.
Welcome back, Jim. Notes.
Just go to 29th. Hit the 29th. Double click it.
I'm past that.
Okay. And there's not much you have to fill out there.
Reschedule. Submit.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yes.
So the 29th should be taken now if I refresh this. Yeah, it's taken. So it's gone. Now the 30th is there. But here's what's really bad is when people open that up, they don't see the idea they can go to the next month and schedule. So I'm all scheduled up to the 29th, but no one is scheduled into February. So I should say we're taking a schedule for February right now and send that out to people. So anyone can go on there. Anyone who has good sound. It's broken up for the podcast is 3 different episodes, 3 different select sections. I try to keep it 25 minutes. And then have you ever listened to the podcast?
Hang on for a second, Chuck. Oh, Poussin, here he is. Let me call Chuck right now.
Okay. Do you want me to finish up here?
Hang on. I need to link some contacts. Link Mr. Chuck Poussin. Link. Here's his phone. Here, I'll just ask.
You can go to that site, but if we're doing it for next month, it's actually February we're starting to fill for.
Next site. I'm trying to find the link. Is it back here?
It's like the link back on there. It's Timelines of Success /schedule. Should make like a short word. BC schedule. BC links. BC links. BC schedule. I always make a short one for people to point to.
My desk at the moment. Your call is extremely important to me. Please leave me a message at the tone indicating specifically why you want me to call you back, including your telephone number, even if you think I might have it, and I'll return your call as soon as possible. Please be sure to speak clearly and slowly so I can easily get back in touch with you. Make it a great day, and we'll talk soon.
Hi, Chuck. Jim Bannon. I'd like you to check your schedule on January 29th between 10 and 11. And if you're available, I would like to tap into your real estate expertise and put you on a national podcast. Give me a call at your convenience. I'm at 815-540-5683. And I hope you're back from Costa Rica. God bless. Say hi to Nikki. Bye-bye. All right. Well, we'll get an answer.
Okay.
Now, where's the link I'm supposed to go to here? Timelines of Success interview. Is that the one?
Yeah. Timelines of Success /interview.
Okay. I clicked on that. I'm in here.
I thought you already did it. You already scheduled.
I did.
Yeah.
So how do I go to the link where I'm supposed to go if this was February 29th?
Oh, I'll send you a
January
link. It'll be
29th.
on Blab. I must have sent the wrong one last night. I will set it up. I'm trying to set up everything ahead of time. I'll do that since you're scheduled. I'm going to try to go right now into setting up everything.
Okay. Can I take just a couple minutes of your time then?
Go ahead.
I set up, and it may be a software conflict, but I set up Minicam.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with that?
Minicam's okay. I would not use CamTwist on a Mac. I'm not really familiar with it. They put them on PCs and Macs. I used to use CamTwist. It's terrible for the machine.
Yeah.
You're trying to do lower thirds and all that. I should probably get into Minicam.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But I had a conflict with Blab with it today.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see.
That's why I don't use those plugins right now.
I need to
I
turn
can't
off.
afford to mess around with the lower thirds. I just use the basic stuff.
Well, it's not just because of the lower third. As you know, most software locks the camera to that software.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it affects Skype and everything else.
Right. And what this allows you to do, and that's why it's called Minicam, is to use multiple resources. So what it means is you can actually pull up a screen. In the middle of my conversation with you, I could run a PowerPoint presentation, for example, or I could run a video.
Minicam, right? I've seen that. Yeah, and that's
Okay.
you can do that on Google Plus Hangouts better though. You ever done Google Plus and share screen?
Yeah, this is a little more powerful than that, and this is totally in your control. So that's why I use it when I can.
Yeah,
and it's not going to start up now because my
I've had too
Logitech
many problems with CamTwist, and I just want to get the basic podcast out, and that's my main thing. Well, it's 11:15 here. I actually need to get to work. I'm trying to knock off by about 10:30 every day on the Blab. I went for 4.5 hours yesterday. It was so interesting. Yeah. But what I found is the system didn't work today that we were testing. So anyway, thanks. I got to go. I'll see you on the 29th, and any day after a Blab, you're welcome to come up.
Sounds terrific.